Hello, everyone. My name is Lisa Robertson, and I'm going to be talking about Chapter 7 of our Impact Players. And this chapter talks about increasing your impact. Now, I'm going to be honest, I am the kind of person that really likes to be in a personal situation with people. However, I will make this work. So bear with me, team. So chapter 7. Chapter 7 starts out with a quote. And the quote that it started out with, and I want you to take a minute to think about it once I read it. Some think you become great on the big stage under the bright lights, but the light only reveals the work you did in the dark, by Jeff Benjanero. Take a minute to think about what that quote means to you. When I thought about that quote, what came to my mind were the closing exercises or graduations that happen at the end of the school year. Parents, staff, and students are cheering, they are happy, they are celebrating. No one takes that time to think about all of the work that was done to get to this big celebration. Think about it. All of the work that you did with kids, all of the mentoring, all of the classes, all of the late nights teachers were up planning those lessons, all of the times that the parents had to push students to get out of bed just to get them to get to school, and just everything that comes into play with what happens throughout the day. But during that time, it's such a joyous occasion. And really, when you think about it, although that time is the time of celebrating, all of the work that was done in the dark is really what made that celebration what it was, because it was an accomplishment through everything you did in the darkness. So again, in this particular chapter, we're going to be looking at impact players and increasing your impact. So this lesson gets into mastering underlying beliefs and behaviors. So, master skill 1, changing your perception. So when you change your perception, you're perceiving situations from another person's point of view and helping to invoke a number of the habits of an impact player. Okay, so when I thought about this particular skill mastery 1, this reminded me of a situation that occurred with a former coworker. She was about to have her formal observation, and while what she decided to teach, well, basically what they were mandated to teach, to be honest, is direct instruction. So I don't know if any of you all are familiar with the direct instruction lessons, but with those lessons, everything is scripted. So the teacher is pretty much supposed to say and do everything the book tells them to do. Now, that's if you're teaching it to fidelity, which the teachers was asked to do. They were asked to teach it to fidelity. However, this teacher was about to have her formal. And when you look at the formal observation framework, as we all know it, the instructional framework, part of the lesson was the interaction with the students in terms of peer conversations, peer interactions. Well, the direct instruction lessons do not, let's just say it doesn't lend itself to teachers having that autonomy to have kids turn and talk and interact with each other in any type of way. It's more of a I say, you say, I say, you say. Well, needless to say, when this teacher did her formal observation, she did not have any peer interaction. She did not have the kids turn and talking. She didn't do any of the anything for that particular standard. So what happened was, obviously, for that area, she did not get a good rating. So when she went to talk with her observer about it, the observer said, well, you know what? You didn't do it, so I could not give you the score for it. So the teacher wanted to argue backwards and forwards. She said, well, you all gave us this direct instruction lesson to teach, and you told us to teach it to fidelity, and it was nowhere in my script where I had to ask students to turn and talk or to have peer interaction. So the the observer said to her, well, guess what? The other teachers I went to observe, they found a way to build that into their lesson. So the only thing that I can tell you is you should have made that adjustment. So when I thought about that, it said that what you should do as an impact player is to adjust, so ask and adjust, ask and adjust. So what should have happened is when that teacher went in, for the pre-observation, she should have asked her observer, hey, is it possible that I can, deviate or make some adjustments to my lesson to meet, what I needed to do in terms of making sure my observation is successful. So it said that impact players have to ask and adjust. So guess what? It said that we have to, as impact players, we have to make sure that we are pushing our teachers or whoever we're supervising. We have to push them to be able to, know when it's okay to make a certain adjustment, to, just to push them to be the best that they can be, whether it's teaching their lessons or whatever they're doing. That was to me, that scenario I gave was a clear situation where had the teacher asked her observer, she would have gotten the best score. Master Skill 2 talked about changing your lens. Changing your lens. So when you change your lens, changing your lens involves seeing situations as an opportunity rather than a threat. So as we said, there's going to be times where things come up during the school day, and you can look at it one of two ways. You can see it as an opportunity, or you can see it as a threat. So in Skill 2, we're changing our lens. Hold on. I had my lens I wanted to change into, but anyway, I'll find it. Change your lens. Let me tell you what this made me think about. One time I attended a district attendance meeting. My school was struggling with attendance. We were a charter. So we were compared to other charters across the networks. And our school did not meet with a lot of success like the other charters did. So, the data was passed out to everyone. So everyone was able to see the data and compare it across the district. So obviously I wasn't feeling good because I knew that I felt like we could have definitely done better. But instead of me looking at that as a threat, what I decided to do was to go around and talk to some of the other successful schools. So the schools that were meeting the mark and the schools who did have good attendance, what I did was I talked to them and I tried to find out, what are you all doing to make sure your attendance is increasing? How does that work? What kind of incentives have you put into place? Do you have an attendance team that meets weekly? Who's on your attendance team? What kind of funding do you use for the incentives? So I asked the questions. I did the work. So I took that threat that I could have felt in terms of, that embarrassment, all of that, and I turned that into an opportunity. And needless to say, yes, we did meet the mark. We met the mark. I had to work hard to get there, but we did meet the mark. So it's a matter of you just changing your lens. Change your lens. Okay, now, again, when you look at changing this lens, this takes me to the next part. Well, you know what? Let me do this. Before we get into the next part, I want to just talk about what your lens should look like. Okay? Now, we talked about a threat lens, but there's also an opportunity lens. So the opportunity lens was the one where I talked with you about the opportunity that I had. Okay? All right. So let me talk about a little bit more about what the two lenses are. So again, you have the threat lens and you have the opportunity lens. So under the threat lens, it's stated that you see what your mind sees, for example, a distraction from my job. What they'll do is to do your job. So if you're under the threat lens, you're distracted, you just do the job. You look for a reason to look for leadership. You wait for distractions. You look at it as an added hassle. You escalate the issues. A detour from my strengths. You stick with what you know. A reason to ask for help. You add an extra burden. So what lens do you want to look through? Do you want to look through that threat lens? Or do you want to look through the opportunity lens? So with the opportunity lens, what do? You look for, so let me give you the examples that they gave us in the book. A chance to be useful. Do the job that's needed. An opportunity to provide leadership. You step up, then you step back. A chance to do it a better way. Finish stronger. A reason to build new capabilities. You ask and adjust. A need to work together. You make the work lighter. As we all know, there's going to be times where we have to decide which lens are we going to look through. Are we going to look at things through the opportunity lens or look at things through the threat lens? So I want you to describe a time where you looked at a situation through a threat lens or an opportunity lens. Please describe that situation. Now, I don't want you to be deterred from using the threat lens because guess what? There were times, and I'm sure even if it was early in our career, where we did not always see things as an opportunity. There may have been times where we did see things as a threat. So I want you to feel free to be honest and to feel free to share that situation. And you will find that in our Google chat. All right. So our lesson also gets into reframing threats as opportunities. So what you have to do, recognize ambiguity. Watch situations and pause and check your lens. Check your lens. Pay attention to your thoughts and reactions. Reframe the situation. Look at how you're looking at things. Consider what the situation would be like if you took it in terms of looking at it as an opportunity lens. Replace things with an opportunity lens, and how would you view a situation different? So as you go through this upcoming school year, and I'm talking to myself as well, when you see things as a threat lens, I want you to ask yourself, how can I take this threat lens and turn it into an opportunity lens? All right. Also, Chapter 7 talked about taking smart risks. Number 1, acknowledge the risk, identify potential dangers, and keep your ear to the ground. Make sure you know the facts. Acknowledge, yes, this is an issue. Now, what can I do about it? It's an issue. It's potentially dangerous. I need to make sure I know all the facts. But I do want to be smart about the risks. Number 2, set expectations. Clue people in. Inform them of the ups and downs and what you need to know from them. So make sure the people involved know, that this is a risk that we might have to take. These are the ups and downs. These are the pros and cons. But we do have to make a decision. Set boundaries, number 3. Establish thresholds and stop losing points to minimize negative consequences. And have backup plans ready. Because we know sometimes we come up with these nice plans and they fall apart. I mean, I can remember being a teacher where I thought it was the best lesson in the world. I planned it out. I had everything ready. And then one thing can mess it up and it falls apart. So sometimes you have to have a backup plan. So we have to be ready when those situations come. Okay? So another thing that Chapter 7 told us to do as an impact player is to gather supporting evidence, experiment and collect evidence, elevate and evidence in your contribution, and build a case for growth. Okay? So those 3 things is what you would do in terms of gathering supporting evidence. Last but not least, take charge. Take charge. To me, that's what makes the difference with an impact player. I did express to my administrator that I feel like being a new assistant principal, that I'm trying to get there, but I'm not quite there in terms of knowing everything I need to know to take charge. But, she did express to me, Lisa, you're getting there. You've already started taking charge. So, again, we don't have all the answers, but when we don't have an answer, we look for it. We took this position, so we have to make sure that we take charge and we own it. We own it. We own the good. We own the bad. So take charge and just make this the best year possible. And I'm just thankful that this book study on impact players have definitely helped me to decide what lens I decide that I'm going to look through this year. I know it's going to be times. I mean, you talked to me the end of September. I'm hoping I'm still on that opportunity lens. If I'm not, you reframe me and bring me back, because I don't want to see things as a threat. I want to see everything as opportunity. And I hope you do too. Thank you, team. Please check your Google chat. Make sure you respond to the questions that I am asking you. And I appreciate your time. Everyone have a great rest of the day.